As developers, we say this all the time. I worked all week but shipped nothing. And I've been there. I switched careers from psychology to software engineering, and I can tell you, this is not a time management problem. It's how your brain tricks you into business instead of progress. By Friday, my GitHub was glowing green, Jira board looked awesome, but the feature that I promised to demo at the end of the sprint still nowhere near done. In this video, I'll break down the psychology of why that happens and share a framework I call SHIP so you can actually deliver. One sprint at my corporate tech job, I was juggling commits, stand-up, PR reviews. On paper, I looked like a solid contributor. But the deliverable that my team depended on, the core feature, still stayed in progress. My responsibility was to finish it that sprint, yet I kept circling the smaller tasks instead. I spent hours refactoring the code, tweaking details, polishing the things nobody really asked for, and I felt like I was really productive. I was telling myself that the future me will thank me, the team will thank me, but deep down I was avoiding the harder work. Psychologists call it avoidance through busyness. So eventually, I started noticing the pattern. Whenever the big task came in and I was burying myself with the smaller, not as important tasks, I knew I was stuck. This reflection gave me a way to spot avoidance faster and correct the course. I'll show you how it works later in the video, but first let me show you how the same trap plays out on a team level. So there was a sprint where our team velocity charts looked incredible. Tickets closed, PRs merged left and right. Stakeholders thought that we were on track. But the roadmap milestone they cared for barely moved. That's the engineer's trap, mistaking activity for progress. And let me explain why. Our brains, even the team's dashboards, they reward appearance of progress. Every closed ticket gives you that little shot of satisfaction. But the big, messy problems, the ones that actually move the product, feel uncertain, stressful, even risky. So we dodge them, and business starts feeling like a success, even when nothing meaningful is done. For example, when I left corporate to freelance, I thought that the freedom would fix it. Flexible hours, no managers, but the pattern followed me. I would sit down to work on clients' deliverable, and suddenly I would remember the laundry, the dishwasher, and every little task that felt easier. At first, I didn't see it as avoidance. I thought that I was getting things done. But over time, I noticed the same loop. The important work stayed idle while I busied myself elsewhere. And then I remembered the framework that I built back in corporate ship, it worked here too. Different contexts, but the same psychology. The truth is, you're not lazy. You're training your brain to prefer comfort tasks instead of impactful ones. And unless you retrain it, that loop never ends. With the rise of productivity apps and AI tools, you would think that avoidance through business would disappear. After all, AI can code faster, project boards look cleaner, and task apps make you feel ultra organized. But what I've seen and experienced myself, those tools don't remove avoidance. Sometimes they just make it easier. I can still reorganize tasks instead of tackling that big one. I can still let AI write code while I dodge hard architectural decisions. That's why reflection matters. Tools don't replace the need of a system. They amplify whatever habits you already have. If you're avoidant, they will help you avoid faster. But if you use something like Framework Ship, they will finally start working for you instead of against you. Before I show you how to break out of this cycle, let's play a quick game. Count how many of these items sound familiar and see if you've been stuck in fake productivity. First, you close a lot of tickets but can't point to anything customer facing. Second, Your board looks great, but the critical ticket still hasn't budged in. Third, you finished the week drained, but can't name one outcome that mattered. Fourth, you keep polishing the code or reorganize files just to stay busy. And fifth, you try to justify it to yourself, saying something like, the future me will thank me. If two or three of those hit, you're on a loop. And if all five hit, then you deepen it. And that's exactly why I built a framework I called SHIP. So let me finally tell you how it works. S stands for scope the real work. Don't just grab the nearest ticket. Define what done means. H. Highlight shipping tasks. Each morning, pick one or two things that would actually move the product forward. Ask, if I only finish this today, would it feel like I shipped something real? I. Isolate from the noise. Slack, Jira, email, they can be distracting. Block 90 minutes like a meeting with yourself where you can focus without pings or switching tabs. And P. Problem first mindset. Hard problems feel uncomfortable, but each one is a rep that builds problem solving muscles. When a bug feels painful, remind yourself this is training, not a punishment. So let me tell you how I use this framework in practice. At the start of the sprint, I scope the outcomes. Then each morning, I highlight the shipping tasks. During deep work, I isolate. And when I hit the hard stuff, I lean in, because every rep builds the muscle that I will need next time. Use SHIP this way, and by Friday, you'll have something real to show. Not just motion, but meaningful progress. At the end of the week, it doesn't matter how many tickets you closed or side tasks you ticked off. What matters is whether you shipped. So ask yourself, are you stuck in fake productivity, or you actually delivering something that counts? Because what makes you valuable is not busyness. It's your ability to ship the real work that matters. And if you're tired of the weeks that look full but go nowhere, this channel is where psychology meets engineering. So you can stop just working and start shipping. Subscribe for more.